Every morning, when you reach for your keys, your dog already knows. Not because of the keys themselves, but because of everything else you're doing wrong in that moment. Most people think leaving a dog alone is simple. You walk out, you come back. But here's what nobody tells you. The 5 minutes before you leave and the emotional patterns you create during that time can determine whether your dog spends the next 8 hours in quiet contentment or escalating panic. And the mistakes you're making, the ones that feel loving and responsible, might be the exact things breaking your dog's sense of safety. Right now, you probably say goodbye to your dog the way you'd say goodbye to a child. Long eye contact, lots of petting. Maybe you crouch down and tell them you'll be back soon, that you love them, that they're a good boy. Your voice gets soft and reassuring. You might even feel guilty as you stand up to leave. And your dog reads every single second of that performance as confirmation that something terrible is about to happen. Research from Uppsala University in Sweden tracked the cortisol levels of dogs during owner departures. They found that dogs whose owners engaged in lengthy, emotional goodbyes showed cortisol spikes that lasted up to 40 minutes after the owner left. 40 minutes of stress hormones flooding their system, not because you left, but because you taught them that your leaving is a crisis worth mourning. Your dramatic goodbye doesn't comfort your dog. It programs them to panic. Here's another mistake that feels responsible, but creates the opposite effect. You make sure the house is perfectly quiet before you leave. You turn off the television. You close windows to reduce outside noise. You want your dog to rest, to sleep peacefully while you're gone. But silence, for a dog, isn't peaceful. It's disorienting. Dogs are den animals, but they're also pack animals. In nature, a quiet environment means danger. It means everyone has fled. When you leave your dog in total silence, you're not giving them tranquility. You're giving them sensory deprivation. Behaviorists working with Swedish rescue dogs discovered that dogs left in silent homes showed signs of hypervigilance, frequently moving between rooms, unable to settle. Their heart rates remained elevated because their nervous systems were waiting for auditory confirmation that the world was still functioning normally. Your dog doesn't need silence. They need the ambient proof that life continues even when you're not there. And then there's what happens when you come home. You walk through the door and find your couch cushions shredded, your trash scattered across the kitchen. Your dog looks guilty, ears back, body low. So you scold them. You point at the mess. You use that disappointed voice. And your dog has absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Here's what canine cognition research tells us. Dogs have a learning window of about 3 to 5 seconds. If you don't catch them in the act, they cannot connect your anger to their action. That guilty look you're interpreting as remorse? It's not guilt. It's fear of your current emotional state. When you punish your dog hours after they destroyed something, you're not teaching them that destruction is wrong. You're teaching them that your return is unpredictable and sometimes dangerous. You're making them afraid of you coming home. Studies from animal behavior institutes in Sweden found that dogs punished after the fact for separation-related destruction showed increased anxiety during future alone periods, not decreased destruction. Because the punishment didn't address the cause. It just added another layer of fear to an already stressful situation. Most people also make their dog's environment too dark. You close all the curtains because you think it helps them sleep or keeps the house cooler. But dogs navigate the world differently than humans. They need light cycles to regulate their circadian rhythms. They need visual access to movement, to the passage of time, to the reassurance that the world outside still exists. When you close every curtain and leave your dog in artificial darkness, you're removing their ability to track time. Morning becomes indistinguishable from afternoon. There's no sun moving across the floor, no shadows shifting, no birds passing by the window. Researchers studying working dogs in northern Sweden, where daylight varies dramatically by season, found that dogs with visual access to windows during alone time showed more regulated sleep-wake cycles and lower baseline anxiety. Your dog doesn't need darkness. They need the natural rhythm of daylight to anchor them while you're gone. Here's something almost no one considers. Scent. You leave your dog with toys, with food, with water, but you don't leave them with you. Not your physical presence, but your olfactory signature. Dogs process the world primarily through smell. Their olfactory memory is tied directly to emotional regulation. When you leave without providing something that carries your scent, something recent and strong, you're removing your dog's most powerful comfort tool. A study tracking stress markers in dogs during owner absence found that dogs with access to recently worn clothing from their owners, items that carried fresh scent, showed significantly lower cortisol levels than dogs without scent anchors. It's not about a security blanket in the human sense. It's about chemical reassurance. Your scent tells your dog's brain that you still exist, that you're still part of their reality, even when you can't be seen or heard. And without it, they're trying to regulate their emotions in a vacuum. Then there's the mistake of inconsistency. You leave at 7 in the morning on Monday, 9:30 on Tuesday. You're gone for 3 hours on Wednesday and 9 hours on Thursday. You think you're just living your life, adapting to your schedule. But your dog is trying to build a predictable map of your absence and return, and you keep redrawing it. Dogs don't understand clocks. They understand patterns. When those patterns constantly shift, they can't relax into the rhythm of waiting because they never know what they're waiting for. Behavioral research on canine anxiety shows that dogs with unpredictable owner schedules remain in a state of low-grade hypervigilance throughout separation periods. They can't settle, because settling requires trust that you'll return within an expected window, and you've made that window impossible to predict. Your inconsistency isn't flexibility, it's chaos, translated into chronic stress. Watch your dog the next time you pick up your phone to leave. Watch how their body changes when you reach for your coat. Notice the subtle tension, the way they start following you, the shift in their breathing. They're not being clingy. They're responding to a pattern you've built, brick by brick, mistake by mistake. Every dramatic goodbye told them, this moment is worth fearing. Every silent house told them abandonment sounds like nothing. Every punishment hours later told them, your return brings danger. Every dark room told them time doesn't pass. Every missing scent told them you've disappeared completely. Every random schedule told them safety is a lie. Your dog isn't afraid of being alone. They're afraid of the way you've taught them to be alone. And until you understand the difference between those two things, every departure will feel like a small abandonment, and every return will feel like a miracle they didn't dare believe in. Which of these mistakes have you been making without realizing the weight they carried? Because your dog deserves to feel safe in your absence, not just loved in your presence. Stay to learn what to do instead, because understanding the problem is only half of loving them better. The truth is, your dog can learn to be alone without falling apart. Not because they love you less, but because you've taught them something more important than constant presence. You've taught them the language of return. Dogs who handle solitude well aren't emotionally detached. They're deeply secure. They've learned that separation is temporary, that doors swing both ways, that your absence doesn't erase your existence. And you can build that security, starting today, with actions that feel small, but rewire everything. Start with how you leave. Not the moment you walk out the door, but the 15 minutes before. Swedish working dog trainers, the ones who prepare dogs for search and rescue missions where they must remain calm during handler absence, use something they call the boring goodbye. No eye contact, no petting, no verbal reassurance. You go about your departure routine with the emotional energy of brushing your teeth. You pick up your keys without ceremony. You put on your coat like it means nothing. You walk toward the door as if you're walking toward the kitchen, and then you leave. No pause, no looking back. No. I'll be home soon, buddy. Just gone. This isn't coldness, it's clarity. You're teaching your dog that your departure is so mundane, so unremarkable, that it doesn't deserve an emotional response. Researchers found that dogs whose owners practiced neutral departures showed cortisol levels that remained baseline stable within 10 minutes of being alone. 10 minutes instead of 40. That's not cruelty. That's kindness translated into neurochemistry. But don't leave them in silence. Your dog needs an auditory environment that mimics normalcy. Not just any sound, but specific frequencies that regulate their nervous system. Classical music, particularly pieces with a tempo between 60 and 80 beats per minute, has been shown to lower canine heart rates during alone time. Audiobooks work too, especially voices with calm, steady cadence. White noise machines can mask sudden outside sounds that trigger alert responses. A study from Uppsala University monitoring dogs in shelters found that dogs exposed to low-tempo classical music during isolation periods spent 60% more time in relaxed resting positions compared to dogs in silence. The music wasn't entertaining them. It was giving their brains something to anchor to. A rhythm that said, the world is still safe, still predictable, still turning. Leave your dog with sound that breathes, and give them work to do. Not just a toy, but a job that requires focus. Puzzle feeders, where they have to manipulate pieces to access food. Frozen Kong toys that take 20 minutes to empty. Snuffle mats where treats hide in fabric folds. Rotation systems where they don't see the same enrichment object 2 days in a row. Dogs are problem solvers. When left without cognitive engagement, their minds turn to anxiety as the default occupation. But when you give them a task, you give them purpose. Behavioral specialists working with Swedish hunting dogs discovered that dogs provided with rotating enrichment activities during alone time showed 70% less destructive behavior than dogs with static toy access. It's not about distraction. It's about channeling their mental energy into productivity instead of panic. Your dog doesn't need more toys. They need problems worth solving. Now here's the part most people resist: scent comfort. Take a t-shirt you've worn for a full day. Don't wash it. Leave it in your dog's favorite resting spot. Not folded neatly. Crumpled like you just took it off. Your dog's olfactory system is 50 times more powerful than yours. When they press their nose into fabric that smells like you, they're not being sentimental. They're accessing chemical information that calms their amygdala. Research on olfactory memory in canines shows that familiar human scent triggers oxytocin release in dogs, the same bonding hormone released during direct physical contact. You might feel silly leaving your dirty laundry around, but your dog experiences it as your presence condensed into molecules. It's not a substitute for you. It's proof you still exist. Swedish researchers studying military dogs during handler deployment found that dogs with access to handler-scented items showed lower separation anxiety scores and maintained healthier eating patterns during absence. Your scent is medicine. Use it. Light matters more than you think. Position your dog's resting area near a window where they can watch the world. Not a window facing a busy street where constant stimulus becomes overwhelming, but one with moderate activity. Birds. Passing clouds. Sunlight moving across the floor. Leave certain curtains partially open so natural light cycles through the room. Dogs are crepuscular animals, most active during dawn and dusk. When you remove their ability to track the sun's movement, you remove their internal clock. They can't tell if you've been gone 20 minutes or 6 hours. But with visual access to daylight, their brains can measure time through environmental change. Studies on canine circadian rhythms found that dogs with window access during daytime alone periods showed more consistent sleep patterns and less pacing behavior. You're not giving them entertainment. You're giving them temporal context. The sun tells them you'll come back because the sun always comes back. But here's the hardest lesson, the one that feels counterintuitive: practice leaving. Not for 8 hours, for 5 minutes, then 10, then 15. Leave the house, drive around the block, come back. Do this when you don't actually have anywhere to go. Do it multiple times a week. Stay boring about it. Walk out. Walk back in. Don't make your return dramatic either. Swedish dog trainers call this building the return pattern. Your dog needs repetitions, dozens of them, that prove departure isn't permanent. Every time you leave and return, you're writing code in their brain. This person leaves. This person comes back. This is reliable. This is safe. Behavioral research shows that dogs exposed to graduated separation practice, where alone time incrementally increases over weeks, develop significantly lower anxiety responses than dogs who only experience full-length absences. You're not torturing them with fake departures. You're building trust through evidence. And when you do come home after hours away, here's what changes everything. Ignore your dog for the first 5 minutes. Walk in, put your things down. Use the bathroom. Get a glass of water. Let them exist in the space with you without acknowledgement. This feels wrong. It feels cold. But what you're actually doing is teaching them that your return is as unremarkable as your departure. When you burst through the door and immediately shower them with affection, you're confirming that your absence was a big deal, that reunion should be celebrated as survival. But when you come home and act like you never left, like your presence is the default state, you're telling them that separation is mundane. Researchers tracking reunion behavior found that dogs whose owners practice calm, delayed greetings showed decreased excitement-based anxiety over time. The dogs didn't love their owners less. They just stopped experiencing return as a life-or-death event. Your dog is watching you right now, learning whether the world is safe or whether it requires constant vigilance. Every boring goodbye teaches them peace. Every ambient sound teaches them continuity. Every puzzle feeder teaches them productivity. Every scent anchor teaches them you're not gone, just elsewhere. Every window teaches them time passes. Every practice departure teaches them you return. Every calm homecoming teaches them that love doesn't require drama to be real. Being alone doesn't break your dog, but the way you leave them alone can, and the way you teach them to be alone can heal what you didn't realize you'd been breaking. It's not about spending less time together. It's about making the time apart feel like a breath held, not a heart stopped. Which of these will you start with to give your dog the gift of feeling safe even when you're gone? Because your dog's peace when you're absent matters just as much as their joy when you're present. Stay for more ways to love them better, because understanding what they need is how we become who they already believe we are.